What's up, guys? Stan here from Rocky Creek. Welcome back to the homestead. We got back just the other day from our annual beach trip where our family goes and spends a week at the beach. And it's sort of a working vacation when you have kids, but on a good note, it was very enjoyable. We had a great time. There was times, the kids will kind of get on you, but that's just part of parenting. But overall, the time was good. The goods outweighed the bad. And believe it or not, this was probably the first vacation in quite a while that I kind of wasn't really in a hurry to get home. Like, it always feels good when I get home and I lay in my bed and I get, here back with my animals, and it's good to have sort of that sense. But overall, I really wasn't in a rush to get back. It was very enjoyable. We had overall good weather. As I said, the kids overall did well, and it was a really good experience. So hopefully for years to come, things will continue to do better. But we are back here at the homestead now, and we're about to check on everything for the first time. I say the first time. When we got back the other day, it was already pretty late. And by the time we got everything unpacked, it was already getting dark, and so I kind of came out and just took a quick peek on the animals. I did walk down to the garden with a flashlight, and it wasn't looking the greatest. But anyways, let's go check on everybody, and let's try to do some repairs for just what I could see in the dark down there at the garden. So let's go. Before we head down to the garden though, the chickens overall were doing really good. But what I was most happy about was, as you all know, we had some new babies here with Spotty, our best broody mama hen, and I'm pleased to announce that all four of them did just fine with her while we were gone. You can see them right there, the two blacks and the two whites, and Miss Spotty's still doing her thing. It was amazing to see how much these birds have grown in the week that we were gone. They have feathered out so much. They're getting so much bigger. They still do go underneath her just a little bit here or there to get warmed up. Like, it was a little cool this morning and I saw them tucked up underneath her wings, but they've grown a lot. They're doing really well, so I think we're going to be good to go. And they obviously must have went into the coop at night on their own without any issues, which was good for us and good for the people watching them. Overall, all the animals seem to have done really well. There was no really major issues with them. And the great thing in terms of the chickens is with the Reolink camera, I had put it down there before we left because we were having the predator issues where the raccoons were trying to get to the chickens and stuff, which I shared some of that on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And so it was still down there so I could kind of make sure that they were in at night, even though the people were coming by to check on them. And it worked out really well with that. The pigs, of course, are doing great as well. But really, it's the garden is my greatest concern right now. So let's go in here, let's take a look, and let's try to do some repairing, some tying, and talk about what we're going to do moving forward. So overall, the tomato plants were doing pretty good, but quite a few of them were laid over when I came out here last night. This one, you can see, is actually completely fallen over, and I'm going to have to get it up. You can see these limbs are down, and I kind of tried to tack a few of them up last night, but I went ahead and did what I usually do, take an old t-shirt, cut it up, and we got to get a lot of this supported now. And we have the same thing going on with some of our pepper plants. So let's get these things staked up real quick and we'll talk about it, because we got other issues than just this right here. So I knew I was going to have this problem most likely, and so I tried to use those clips that I shared with you all recently in a video to kind of make do. The reality is that time really got away from me before we went out of town, and I really didn't do as good of a job as what I really probably should have done to prepare these plants before leaving. So, unfortunately, there's just not enough time in the day, and you just got to cut your losses where they are and make the most of the situation that you got with the cards that you're dealt. But we can't change the past. We can only try to fix things moving forward. So that's what we're going to do right now. All right, so they're far from perfect, but we have at least gotten them all off the ground. I am going to need to come through here and prune off some of the bottoms. But you can see we don't have many pepper plants, but the ones we do have are starting to fall over, so we gotta get those ones tied up real quick. You can tell by the leaf growth going straight out to the side. They've been on the ground for a while because they're growing upwards from where they were laying down. So it'll take a couple days for them to kind of balance themselves back out. Another bad, our cucumbers are like decimated. Now this, I think, could be primarily from bugs followed by dry ground. We had massive squash bug problems on these plants prior to us leaving. I harvested a ton of cucumbers off of them before we left, and they weren't this bad, but I think, you know, with the drought, that it probably just put a hurting on them after they were already struggling. There's a couple cucumbers on here, but for the most part, I think these are going to be pretty well done. If there's something that's done well, it's all the sunflowers. We got all these back here. We got, I don't know if you can see them, they're way taller than me. We got these ones back here. And then this one is one that Madison planted. And it's kind of short, but has 1,000 flowers on it. It's doing really well. We got some up there. We got all these all down through here. We've got the zinnias doing good. I'm not sure where this one random pink one got into the mix of all these yellows. We got a couple of the Queen Lime Blush. They're really pretty. They didn't sprout as much as some of the others do, but the ones that have are very pretty. Whole bunch of marigolds have come up. Got a ton of these. Love in a Mist. But then check out these, the coxcomb. They're growing so well. Look at this velvety red colored one. So while many of the actual like vegetable crops may have struggled while we were gone, the flowers seem to have been flourishing really well. But enough with some of the bads and a little bit of the goods. What we need to do right now is let's go ahead and check on some of the harvest stuff while we're down here. So I feel like these carrots have got to be close to needing harvest. They've been in here a long time. And so we got two different varieties going here. Oh yeah, check that out. There's an orange one and a cosmic purple. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull a few of these to take inside, maybe to have with dinner tonight. And we're gonna also check on a few other things. Oh wow, that's a good one. It's not too bad. This one right here is a really good size one, but these will be plenty good. We really want to have a good salad tonight, so I think this will be enough for right now. And I'll probably just come out here each day and keep getting a little bit more at a time so they'll last a little longer. The strawberries sort of exploded while we were gone. A lot of them are over ripened, but there's quite a few that are still good to go. So we'll probably grab some of those too while we're down here. A large number of them were rotten, so this is about all we're going to get from that. Now, I shared on Facebook and Instagram recently about the albino beets that were growing. There's a lot of these that have grown up so much that they're pretty much out of the dirt. So I need to get these harvested. The good thing is beets will last quite some time in the house. So, but you can see they're looking pretty good. Big problem is navigating what's Swiss chard and what's beets so I can get the greens out. There's one. That's a great big old one. Let's get this fella. You can tell the ones that got overcrowded versus the ones that had plenty of room to flourish. Like this one, great big old one. That's a great big old one, the size of my palm. It's not too shabby right there. So we do got a lot of these green beans we're growing this year called Greasy Grit. A lot of these that need to be harvested. Now I've noticed somehow, I'm pretty sure we ended up with some cross-pollination of our dragon tongue with these because they've gotten these striations on them, the little bit of purple as compared to these. And when I opened up the pod, it's getting like the look of the dragon tongue bean as well. Let me see if I can get one open for you. You can, oh, shot out like a rocket. See that coloring on the bean itself? That's similar to what the dragon tongue looks like versus these ones. When I opened them, they looked rather plain. So I think we are somehow getting some cross-pollination, even though I have the dragon tongues on the other side of the garden. But we'll grab what green beans are harvestable right now. We'll add those to it as well. I'm not gonna harvest it yet, but I think this one kohlrabi may be getting close to being ready to harvest, along with, I don't know if you can see it down through there. It's hard to get the focus right through there, right here. The other ones are pretty small, but we're gonna leave those be for now, along with the Swiss chard. I'll come out here and harvest a bunch of this Swiss chard in the next day or two for a meal. I just don't want it to go bad. The lettuce has started to bolt, so I may just let these go to seed and try to get the seeds from it, and then I'm gonna rip all this lettuce out, and we're gonna probably put something else in here before too long. The mounted painted corn, I think is this, ended up doing next to nothing because of the weather and sunlight and a combination of issues. So like, let me grab one of these ears, and it's probably gonna be a whole lot of nothing. So I got these two cobs here, and they literally feel like just the cobs. If there was anything, the worms probably ate it. I mean, they look pretty terrible. Well, I'm actually sort of shocked that some kernels actually grew. It's a shame it didn't do that well, because that is pretty wild looking. Let's check this other one. Look at that. So this mounted painted corn may actually end up doing really well if I can actually get it into the front part of the garden, like we have our sweet corn, which we're going to check here in a minute, because I'm shocked that this was even on this ear, because the ear felt so small and it didn't feel like a lot was there. But that's actually quite impressive. I'm going to leave the rest of these alone for now, and we may check those out in the near future. I didn't really show you when I was tying these up, but the tomatoes themselves look great. There's a ton of them on these vines. They're all green, so nothing's even close to ready to be harvested right now, but we're going to leave those be. But let's go check one of these sweet corns and see how they're looking. So you can see the tassels have died off on these sweet corn, and the ears are slightly sticking out to the side, which usually is an indication that they're about ready to be harvested. So we're going to check out one of these and see how it looks. Well, the silt's still very fresh on the inside. Oh, wow. Check that out. Last year when we came back from vacation, we had a major worm issue, and I had to pull all the corn right then and there. But this actually looks really good. Now, to figure out if it's definitely ready for harvest or not, is we'll take our fingernail, and I'm going to push into these kernels. Oh yeah, it like pops the juice out. Let me see if I can get that on camera for you all. So you find a kernel here, and you stick your fingernail in, and it explodes with this juice. And that sweet, milky, sweet corn is what you want to see. Well, if I keep it on camera. So you push one of these kernels, pops that juice out, and that right there, that milky, sweet stuff, is what you want for your sweet corn. So the row of dragon tongue beans has really exploded. There's no beans to be harvested right now, but you can see there's a ton of blooms forming. So we're going to be getting a lot of these here in the very near future. Now, we planted these way later than our greasy grits, but I don't know what it is about dragon tongues, but they flourish in our environment, in our area. They seem to do well with pests. You know, of all the stuff that started out new here, it seems to be doing the best of anything and is really doing well. It may not be our favorite bean, but it's a flavorful bean. It tastes just fine, and it grows really well in our environment. So we continue to grow it to make sure we have success. So no beans to harvest on here, just some pretty pink blossoms. And to get ready to close out our post-vacation garden tour, y'all can't believe it, okra. The okra is growing. I think the key to it is planting it late when it's dead hot and everything else is struggling. So these okra plants that we started not too long ago seem to be doing well. These were cabbage. They're not doing too hot. These were some pumpkins. They're not doing half bad for starter plants. We got about 4 or 5 of those in here. They've probably tripled in size since we left, but I am seeing some indications of some stuff trying to mess with them, so we're going to need to work on that. Well, look at this big giant fella in the garden. He got to be the biggest toad I've ever seen. I hope he's eating up slugs, so we're going to leave him be. I could appreciate any slug help you can give me, brother. Well, guys, that's going to be it right there for post-vacation harvest. There's a lot more of this I can pick, but it doesn't make any sense to pick it all at one time if I don't have to, or it's going to go bad. So we got a nice little handful of some green beans, some strawberries, some carrots, a bunch of beets, which those will hold up well, so I pulled more of those than usual. We got us a couple cucumbers, and I will put that piece of sweet corn to use, and I'm going to dry out these other 2 pieces of corn just to go ahead and use them up. But that sweet corn, I'll probably cut it off fresh, throw it in with a salad. It'll taste great with that sweetness that it has to it. It's definitely a very sweet type of corn. Well, guys, the return to the garden from vacation was a mixed bag. That's what's going to be expected. When we go out of town, I shared with you in our previous video about what to do to make it easier on people so you can go out of town to go on a vacation and whatnot when you have a homestead or trying to raise some animals. I do not have them tend to the garden. The reality is that the garden takes a lot of time for tending to it, and it's not really conducive for me to have them do it. I really just got to hope Mother Nature will play in our favor for a week. And if it doesn't, then it is what it is. I've never lost the entire garden, but we do have some goods and some bads usually after that's done with. But overall, there are some disappointments here, but it's not going to be the end of the world. My plan is that if I start to lose quite a bit of stuff, I may very well give a fall garden a greater chance. And where stuff is struggling, that's where I'll end up starting some stuff here really soon and see if we can't grow into those later months with some crops that do better with the colder weather. So you'll just have to stay tuned and see what we may or may not be able to do with that. But until then, guys, we'll be back here soon, probably here very soon. We're going to go ahead and do a big harvest of all this sweet corn, see how much we actually got, how productive it was, and we'll be talking about some other things going on here in the garden as well in the near future. Well, guys, I hope all of you all have had a great summer so far. I hope your gardens are starting to give you bountiful harvests, and we just hope everybody's doing well overall. But until we can get together next time, guys, y'all be good, and we'll see you here very soon in one of our next episodes. Thanks, guys.